one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are beginning our tradition of celebrating Black History Month today, and we've got a special guest, Mr. Allen Zak, who was the official photographer, one of the official photographers of the Selma March, and we want to welcome you here today. And take it away, Mr. Zak. We're thrilled you're here. You're a local resident, longtime Clintonville resident who we know very well, and if you'd like to come on up and start talking, let us know what you experienced, and I know you've got some slides here. We're honored to have you here.
Thank you.
And if you could use the microphone, you can take it off.
Do you want it free?
Yeah.
Okay. In 1965, I'm originally from Cleveland. In 1965, I left Cleveland and moved to Los Angeles looking for adventure and romance and movie stars. And I found them all. But while I was there, I got sidetracked into the civil rights movement, which was in progress then. And during that period of time, there was a move on the part of Martin Luther King and the Southern Christian Leadership Conference to end for voting rights in Alabama. Pardon me. I'm not really accustomed to public speaking. So they attempted to publicize this with a march. And then came the famous, infamous beatdown that took place on the bridge that went from Selma to the highway. And I was in Los Angeles, and I, like everybody else, was pretty upset by this. So we organized demonstrations, and these were going on all over the country, demonstrations to get federal intervention into Alabama. And after a few days of this, that was accomplished, that Lyndon Johnson federalized the Alabama National Guard to protect the march, and it started. At this point, I wanted to see it through to the finale, so I took my $12 and a bus ride from Los Angeles. It took us 2 days to get to Selma, and actually to Montgomery. And in Montgomery, they had a shuttle bus that went to Selma. This was the driver of the shuttle bus. It was just a regular school bus. And on this particular run, I was the only passenger. And here we go. Can I change the slide? Okay. Welcome to Alabama. These signs were all over the highways, and they were sponsored by the John Birch Society and the White Citizens Council. These are the guys who were guarding the march, this was all of it. All of this was in advance of their line of march, and which at this point was only 300 people. That was a judge's injunction, and since it was only a 2-lane highway and there was a lot to cover, it was kind of necessary. This was, I should have, can I go back one? Oh, well, that's okay. This is one of the guards who was examining it. Actually, Dr. King was only on the march for the first day, and he didn't show up again until the end of it. Okay, continuing down the highway towards Selma. This is the Edmund Pettus Bridge where that beatdown occurred. And here we are in downtown Selma.
Progressive and friendly.
Okay, Jeff Davis Avenue, a lot of celebration of Confederate heroes. Streets name. 20 years later, I went back to Selma to take a look around, and this laundromat, the same laundromat, was still there. And the only difference was the white-only sign had been taken down. Now, here we're in Black Selma. And one way you could tell is you look at the streets, and none of them were paved. The ones in White Selma were paved. The ones in Black Selma were not. So this was a kind of a semi-major consideration. But since the Black Selma people couldn't vote, that's the way it stayed. Okay, here's just from scenes from the neighborhoods in the black part of town. And it was actually, the poor white people lived pretty much the same as the black people. I couldn't go in that part of time because of town because of the danger, but anyway, there it was. Here we are in the downtown area where the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee had its offices, and they were able to get away with it because it was in a realtor's office in the middle of town, and any bombs that it was safe from being bombed. This is the woman who was the realtor, and her name was Boynton. Yes, that was Mrs. Boynton. She was the last. She was the last member of the NAACP. There were several others, but they were all driven out of town. But she stayed, and her contributions to this thing were just incalculable. One of the real heroes of that area. This is one of the flyers that they had. Now here we have the school for white children in town. It was about 4 years old, very nice, clean, and modern. This is the elementary school that they had for the black children. Now this is their definition of separate but equal. Neighborhoods in the black section of town, some of the people who live there. The kids were so sweet. They were just so sweet. I walked down the street once, and a little 5-year-old just walked up beside me and slipped his hand into mine. And I remember to this day, I still get emotional about it. This is taken through the window. The glass had been shattered by a pipe bomb. That was a very popular entertainment among the racists in Selma. And the reason why everybody's here and not marching is because they were waiting for the open part where everybody was, where who was coming in for this thing went. This woman here, the doctor, came in from England. There were people I met on this thing that were coming from Germany, from Hong Kong, just everywhere. This is the backyard of George Washington Carver Homes, which is a housing development in the area. And this is Dr. Morris Samuel, a Reverend Morris Samuel from Los Angeles, who happened to have been a friend of mine who was there. Now here we have the place I was staying at this particular time was the home of the West family, and just by the sheerest of luck or fate or something, it happened. Their kitchen was where everybody dropped by from the leadership for coffee and R&R. That's James Bevel, who was Dr. King's right-hand man. The guy to the right is Ivanhoe Donaldson, another one of the leaders. I took this one picture, and then they said, no pictures. We're just here to relax. So I missed out on that anyway. This is the Brown AME Church, which was the nerve center of the whole operation. And it was one of these, it was, the basement was the area where the food was being cooked and all, and shipped out to the marchers. Toy gun. This is during a service that took place in the church. There was if anybody's seen the movie Selma, this is what you saw when they had the interior of the church. It wasn't a movie set; that was the real thing. But this is the basement where the food was being prepared to be shipped out en route as the marchers were en route. And the food was coming in from all over. Labor unions did a tremendous job in this thing. The AFL-CIO and their unions sent organizers, and they just organized. They just had the whole thing going. They brought in food. They brought in tents for the stopovers en route. Every morning they would, after the marchers would leave, they'd break down everything and run it over to the next campsite and set it up in time for everybody to get there. This is the woman who was in charge of the kitchen. I don't recall her name right now. There was several nerve centers set up where people would take down information. For example, persons reporting loss of jobs, and they would have things like that. Nobody, this person who was missing didn't stay missing. There wasn't any. There weren't any fatalities as far during the time of the march was going on, so that part was okay. Now here we are on the on one of the flatbed trucks that they used to transport people. This one was just right across from the Edmund Pettus Bridge. That's just a scene from the side of the road. Here's the 300 March part of the demonstration, and it rained just about every day. By the way, it was in and out. Beautiful countryside, by the way. If anybody's ever wants to, if anybody goes to Alabama, you'd be just surprised. It was just amazing how beautiful the place was. It was hard to imagine, the troubles that were going on under the circumstances, because one thing everybody who wasn't from this area took note that this was a really attractive place. This highway, by the way, it was a 2-lane then, but now it was expanded, and now it's altogether different. Here are 2 state troopers who were also part of the escort for the march. And just think, 3 weeks earlier, these very same troopers were legally charged with enforcing segregation by all means, including lethal. Now they were in charge of protecting the march. And by the way, they did a good job. During the time the march went on, there were no major incidents at all. The Alabama Guard, This one is kind of editorial. Black people helping white people. This is Jim Leathers, who made the whole march on one leg. This is coming into one of the campsites, and this guy was, I just, the only thing I remember about him, oh yeah, also another important picture. There's a little, she's wearing a little button on the bottom that says, "We try harder." That was actually an advertisement for Avis, car company that they were in competition with. But the civil rights movement certainly saw the implication there. This woman is a Southern, rural, white civil rights supporter. She showed me some scars on her leg when she and her husband had been taken out in the early 50s and beaten with bullwhips. And I'd have to say that it took a lot of nerve to be in the position that she was in. But there were some people that were good. They did have a demonstration of anti-segregationist Alabamians once in Selma, and from all over the state, 60 people showed up. But anyway, a heroine. That's Pete Seeger, the folk singer. He showed up and performed during one of the camp stopovers. And that's Len Chandler from Los Angeles, who was a friend of mine, and he was there now. He continued on. He later became involved in the environmental movement, but which I think is his big deal. Up through the present day. Oh, happy campers. This is the oldest man on the march. He was 83, and unfortunately he wasn't able to continue to the end, but he was there for 4 days of it anyways, so that was his contribution. These are the Alabama National Guard officers. Now this is the last day, well, the second to last day of the march, the day before they actually entered Montgomery. And you can see quite a few people had turned out by this time. They were heading towards well, just notice there's a bit of a Confederate flag on the one of these guys. That was just because it was a state flag that he represented, and it happened at that time that it had the Confederate thing in the corner. One man, one vote. That would have to be modified today. Okay, this picture to me was very symbolic of several aspects of this march. There are 3 people in the picture. There's the guy in the foreground carrying the flag. There's the guy in the background who's reaching forward. Don't know why, whether he was trying to urge him forward or hold him back. And there's the third man who was checking out. See, because what was happening at the time is that the civil rights movement, which had achieved so much by then, was beginning to fall apart. The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee never really approved of this, and they didn't endorse it, although individual members participated anyway. By at the end of this march, the coalition was essentially over, and each organization went its separate ways, which was kind of a shame. Heading into the last campsite, those panel trucks were a lot of fun. Really, I really enjoyed traveling in them. This is Muddy Feet. This is a Catholic school that was the site of the last camp, and it was the Catholic school system was the first one in Alabama to desegregate. What that meant in practice was that the white families took their kids out of the schools, so they were, at least for the time being, all black. But that eventually changed, and within a few years it was truly integrated. This boy is a grandfather today, I'm sure. And I'm just wondering, and I've always wondered what he was thinking at the time that this picture was taken. That's all I have to say about that. There's the morning of the last day. What happened? Okay. The press was busy. This guy was nice enough. He was one of the guys who kept me supplied in film. I only came with 6 rolls of film, and I burned through that in a day. So I depended on the goodwill of the national press, and sure enough, they were kind enough to supply me with enough film to continue. I can't seem to advance this.
The photos say so much, and they're astonishing. You know, some of them we've seen, some of them we haven't over time, and photos say so much more than words could say.
I used to show these as slides on the Okay, good, we're back. Okay, anyway, this is the morning of the that's me. What a good-looking fellow. Now, notice the Confederate flag on the guy on this colonel's uniform. The National Guard in Alabama was all white at that time. Here's everybody's lining up for the last leg of the trip into Montgomery. And here are pictures of some of the spectators as we were heading into the city.
Wow.
These children were also grandparents by now. What struck me about this is, as this line of church people were passing by, overhead there was the Capitol Music Center sign that has a trumpet player, and what was going through my mind is, when the saints go marching in. This poor guy. Really. The irony, one of the big ironies of segregation is that, black people earned, I think, the lowest wages of anybody in the country. Alabama, Mississippi, the lowest. The second lowest were the white workers in these states, and they would rather have segregation and low wages than integration, and this was all manufactured after the Civil War. There never was a solid South, by the way. The Civil War was not between the North and South. It was between slavery and freedom. That it wasn't North versus South. That's a myth. It was easy to sell. The Union won the Civil War. The Confederacy won the Reconstruction. They were able to get this whole phony baloney started that it was North versus South. But the fact is that more Southerners fought against the Confederacy than for it. So anyway, that's kind of lost, and that's the statues that everybody's saying. That's not revisionism. The revisionism was the statues. To make heroes out of the Confederates is just wrong. This is approaching the Capitol. If you look at the top of you can see there's a Confederate flag and the Alabama state flag. There was a U.S. flag on the grounds, but it was behind some trees and couldn't even be seen by most of the people on this march. But that's the way the state wrote. Here's a number of celebrities, including James Baldwin and Joan Baez and Carson McCullers and a few other people that were known at least then. These are the Wests who had the apartment where I was staying when I was in Selma, and oh, Harry Belafonte, can I take your picture? Sure. Chatted a little bit, and I said, "Are you going to be performing?" And he said, "No, I'm just in the crowd like the rest." He was a major supporter of the civil rights movement. He raised funds. He did lobbying and all the rest of that stuff. Very big contributor to all that. As it turned out, they did call him up to. It took a long time there were 26,000 people, and it took a long time for the march to catch up. So he did perform a few songs while he was there. Oh, by the way, many years later, here in Los Angeles, my wife had been invited to be part of some kind of a program. She's a singer, and she was invited to be part of a program, and Belafonte was there. This is about maybe 10 years ago. And so I tagged along, and when I had a chance, I said, "Do you remember when I talked to you in Montgomery, back during the march?" He said, "Like it was yesterday." So everybody sat down and waited for the back part of the march to catch up to the front part of it. And I sat down too, but having not slept for a few days, I just conked out. And I woke up after Martin Luther King's speech. So I never saw him. When I was staying in Selma, like I say, that was like a place where people used to drop by for a little, for chat, including King. But I was never there when he was there. "Oh, you missed Martin, damn it!" Just. So it ended with a song, "We Shall Overcome." Okay, this is irony here. The Alabama State Guard gets the two regular Army guys passing in the back, the two black guys passing in the background, are heading for Vietnam. The guy in front gets to stay home and guard a civil rights demonstration. I never knew what this guy was thinking. He was looking at me. So I invented something for him. Thanks for coming, but this isn't over yet. We'll see you again.
How true.
Well, although I didn't catch Dr. King then, he came to Los Angeles a few years later, so I got to nod hello, and he nodded back. Then he went to Memphis and met his end, and this is the end of my presentation.
We do have a resolution to salute all of your great photography that we'd like to present to you and get a picture very quickly with you. And thank you so much. It's so good to see you, Alan.
There we go.
We got you in the middle. And for all of your activism, thank you.
Ruin all the equipment.
Okay. We are back to needing approval for the minutes of December 4, 2017 administrative session, the minutes of December 5th, 2017 sales tax and use hearings, and the minutes of January 23rd, 2018 general session, and the minutes of January 25th, 2018 briefing.
Move approval of the minutes.
Second.
Moved and second in voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
The minutes have been approved.
Economic Development and Planning.
Resolution number 81-18, resolution authorizing an economic development agreement with Rev 1 Ventures for support of the entrepreneurial signature program in the amount of $300,000.
Morning, Commissioners. James Schimmer, Director of Economic Development and Planning. I'm here this morning to ask your approval of a resolution that will provide Rev 1 Ventures with $300,000 of annual funding. We have Tom Walker in the audience this morning. Commissioners, as you know, Rev 1 has been really instrumental in our technology development and economic development activities. Certainly with their venture capital funds, I was thinking about this when I was driving in today. The work that Rev 1 does is really, they serve as sort of the masons, if you will, in terms of folks that do the laying of the foundation of our economy. So they actually put the foundation into the ground, and those businesses grow, and hopefully eventually will become larger businesses as time goes on. But Tom's really involved in building the foundation of our economic foundation for the community. So if you have any questions, I'd like to answer those, but if you don't, I'd like to ask Mr. Walker to say a few words about this past year.
How poetic of you.
Morning, Tom.
Good
Morning,
morning,
Commissioners.
Tom.
How are you? It's nice to be here again. Jim, thank you for that intro, and thank you for the presentation this morning to kick the session off. 17 was another strong year for our region. As we all know, the startups continue to grow. With your support, the startup community is really having a big impact to the region. With your investment, those companies have leveraged that investment over 230 to 1 on the investment capital that we've attracted to the region, and it's over 600 to 1 when you add investment capital and the revenue that those companies are generating. So I like to say that it's still a great time to be an entrepreneur in Central Ohio, and the majority of the companies that we serve are in the county here. So. Central to our mission is inclusive entrepreneurship. I believe I've shared with all the commissioners our white paper that we published in 2017. We're proud to be one of the first in our industry to ever to do that. So publish our thoughts on how we bring in a more inclusive base and support their growth. In 2017, over 50% of the companies that we served had diverse leadership teams, and what we like to look at is that filter. There's the companies at the top that we work with, but then there's the companies that we fund. That's always a smaller number, but that percentage has held true, and so north of 50% of the companies we invest in fit the inclusive definition. And I have a few stats for you this morning. So of that roughly 50%, 20% are women-led or founded businesses, which, Commissioner Brown, I'm thinking back 4 years ago when we first met, and that was a really important component of the relationship. And then 30% are more minority-led or founded businesses.
Which is very important as well.
It is. Now, here we are in Black History Month. When we dig into those data, African American entrepreneurship in the tech growth industry is the lowest percentage in there, and so we've committed to look at that this year and what other kinds of programs can we create to impact that community. So a couple of other highlights for this year. With your support, we have built one of the more robust economic development databases, so understanding all these companies, the kinds of jobs they have, that has grown to a point now that we need to add a data scientist on our team so we can understand that information. So that'll just be a greater tool for our region as we can generate more reports and learn from that. And then we're still the most active investor in the Great Lakes region, which means we're supporting more technology companies here than in any other region in the Great Lakes, and we expect that to continue in 2018.
Great.
Happy to answer any questions.
Great stuff. Good work.
Thank you.
Keep it up.
Yeah.
I have to also brag on Mr. Walker a little bit too. Just generally in the economic development arena on a national basis, he is very, very well known in the tech field, and has done a very, very nice job for us. And I'm really proud to have him around. Yeah, fortunate, I guess is the right word.
you.
So.
Proud to be here. Yeah, thank you.
Great stuff. Move approval of 8118.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Resolution number 81-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 82-18, resolution implementing sections 3735.0 37.65 through 3735.70 of the Ohio Revised Code establishing and describing the boundaries of the Olentangy Valley Community Reinvestment Area in Franklin County and designating a housing officer to administer this program.
Commissioners, I'm going to lead into this, and then I'm going to turn it over to Josh. But as you know, we are concerned and looking at our ability to affect affordable housing, both for seniors and for regular folks throughout the county. We're going to be looking at a process by which we believe we can incentivize that opportunity, both from the standpoint of commercial development as well as housing development. One of the ways to do that is to establish zones that allow for that opportunity. This is the first one that we're looking at, and I wanted Josh to just kind of take you through the particulars on this one.
Good morning, Commissioners. Josh Roth, Senior Program Coordinator with EDP. This resolution would establish a community reinvestment area in northwest Sharon Township, and specifically the proposed CRA consists primarily of the area surrounding the Olentangy Valley Shopping Center, and that also includes two vacant, well, largely vacant. The office facility to the north is still slightly occupied, and a couple of residences on the west side of Olentangy River Road. The purpose of the CRA is to encourage maintenance or construction of new residential, commercial, and industrial facilities by allowing real property tax exemptions on the incremental increase in the value that results from a project. And so we've set this CRA up in such a way that it would only be for, both new construction and rehab of both commercial and industrial facilities. And we've also classified multifamily housing as commercial, so that should a project come along that would develop residential uses on the site, we could actually enter into a negotiation process with them and as Director Schimmer mentioned, potentially have an impact on affordability in the area.
Move approval of 8218.
Second.
Moved and second in voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Resolution number 82-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 83-18, resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Anthony Campbell at 1099 Hillside Avenue, Harrisburg, Ohio 43126.
I couldn't think of a better smiling face to take you through this morning. So Jamie will lead you through these.
Good morning, Commissioner. Jamie Edwards, the Business Services Officer with EDP. Anthony Campbell received $12,725 in November of 2010. All obligations of the housing program have been fulfilled and the mortgage should be discharged. The taxes are paid in current. Pending any questions, I request your approval.
Move approval of 8318.
Second.
Moved and second in voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Resolution number 83-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 84-18, resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Dennis and Ursula Sheline at 1834 Little Avenue, Columbus, Ohio 43223.
Dennis and Ursula Sheline received $15,000 in June of 2006. All obligations of the housing program have been fulfilled and the mortgage should be discharged. The taxes are paid in current. Pending any questions, I request your approval.
Move approval of 8418.
Second.
Moved and second in voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Resolution number 84-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 85-18, resolution authorizing the Board of Franklin County Commissioners to sign the attached discharge of mortgage instrument for Chester and Dora Sharp at 860 Ross Road, Whitehall, Ohio 43213.
Chester and Dora Sharp received $15,000 in August of 2008. All obligations of the housing program have been fulfilled and the mortgage should be discharged. The taxes are paid in current. Pending any questions, I request your approval.
Move approval of 8518.
Second.
Moved and second in voting. Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Resolution number 85-18 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Resolution number 86-18, resolution to adjust the boundaries of Montgomery Township, thereby making them conform to the boundaries of the City of Columbus, case number ANX-02-18.
Commissioners, our favorite phantom county, or township, excuse me. Paper township. Jenny's going to take you through this one. We have some adjustments to make.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jenny Snapp, Assistant Director, Economic Development and Planning. This petition was filed by the City of Columbus pursuant to Ordinance Number 3206-2017 on December 11th, 2017, authorizing the submission of a petition to the Board of County Commissioners requesting that the boundary lines of Montgomery Township be changed to make them conform with the City of Columbus. The area to be adjusted includes a parcel of land annexed into the City of Columbus from Plain Township and approved by the Board of County Commissioners on September 12, 2017. The parcel is located at 7440 Lee Road. That includes 4 parcels of 16.09 acres as a Type 1 annexation. Under the terms of the annexation agreement between Columbus and Plain Township, the boundaries of the site must be conformed so that the territory annexed is transferred to Montgomery Township. Petition has been filed in accordance with Section 503.07 of the Ohio Revised Code, and pending any questions, we request your approval.
Move approval of 8618.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution number 86-18 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Public Facilities Management.
Resolution number 87-18, resolution declaring personal property as unneeded, obsolete, or unfit and not needed for public use and authorizing the sale of said items via internet auction.
Good morning, Commissioners. Darla Reardon, Interim Director, Public Facilities Management. As you are aware, the 16th floor cafeteria furniture was original to this building and has recently been updated to a modern dining environment. This resolution authorizes the sale of the used tables and chairs via internet auction through govdeals.com. It is important to note the majority of used cafeteria furniture has already been repurposed. For example, the Board of Developmental Disabilities will be using 140 chairs and over 40 tables at a few of their ARC Industries sites. Also, another 66 chairs and 23 tables will be reused in the lunch and break areas at our 80 East Fulton location. Only the remaining items are being declared as unneeded and obsolete and therefore are being sold via internet auction. Pending any questions, this agency requests your approval of this action.
Move approval of 8718.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution number 87-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 88-18, resolution authorizing a contract agreement with AVI Food Systems to provide cafeteria, cafe catering, and vending services in facilities housing Franklin County operations.
This resolution authorizes a 5-year contract with AVI Food Systems, Inc., an Ohio-based company, to provide cafeteria, catering, and vending services in facilities housing Franklin County operations. As our current contractor, AVI has exhibited itself as qualified to provide the required scope of services for dining and vending activities. The services provided by the contractor under this contract are provided at no cost to the county. The county will receive a monthly vending commission. Additionally, AVI will reimburse the county for the recently completed dining area renovation, including for the new 16th floor cafeteria furniture referenced in our first resolution today. AVI will also be making an investment in some upgraded equipment. Pending any questions, PFM recommends your approval of this contract.
Move approval of 8818.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution number 88-18 has been adopted. Resolution number 89-18, resolution authorizing a transfer of appropriations and approval for a purchase order for the elevator modernization project.
This resolution authorizes a transfer of appropriations and approval of a purchase order to Otis Elevator Company for the elevator modernization project. The current elevators are original to this building and need to be updated. At the end of 2017, preliminary work for the project was completed by Otis, including drawings, approvals, and engineering. The project will be phased over a 3-year period between 2018 and 2020 to minimize service disruption for our building residents and visitors. The total project is estimated to cost approximately $7 million. The PO we are asking for today will allow for the completion of the first phase of modernizing and upgrading this tower's 16 elevators. Pending any questions, we request your approval of this resolution.
Move approval of 8918.
Second.
Thank you.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution number 89-18 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Darla.
Purchasing.
Resolution number 90-18, resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $2,339,954.90.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carl Cuthbert representing the Purchasing Department. The resolution before you requests for approval of 145 purchase orders. These purchase orders have been pre-certified as availability fund by the County Auditor. Pending any questions, I recommend their approval.
Move approval of 9018.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution number 90-18 has been adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Board of Commissioner.
Resolution number 91-18, resolution appointing Vicki Lee Deisner and Aaron Messer to the Community Advisory Committee for the Franklin County Department of Animal Care and Control.
Good morning, Commissioners. Eric Chanis, Deputy Administrator. Pending any questions, would recommend approval of these two new appointments.
Move approval of 9118.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded voting, Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Resolution number 91-18 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Any journalizations?
There's one from Economic Development and Planning, case number ANX-03-18, an expedited Type 2 annexation petition was filed with the Franklin County Economic Development and Planning Department on January 30th, 2018. The petition is requesting to annex .803 acres from Jackson Township to the City of Columbus. This petition will be considered by the Board of Commissioners on March 6, 2018.
Thank you. And with that, we are adjourned. See you next week.